Hi, I'm Annie Botticelli, and welcome to my April 2019 horoscope report for you, where I will give you the need-to-knows for your sign, as well as talk extensively about the general transit energies, the conflicts between them, where they're rolling together, and how you can best use this knowledge of the energies to have the most graceful, productive month possible. Definitely go to my website, anniehelpsyou.com, where you can check out my blog. Among other things, I have every month things about the new moon, the full moon, and how best to use those wonderful energies, and lots of other things there. If you'd like to book a live reading or sign up for my astrology apprenticeship program, you can also do that at anniehelpsyou.com. Definitely check out my new book, Radical Prayer, Transform Your Life and the World in 28 Days, which is an Amazon bestseller. So what's going on this month for you? I'm going to show you the charts that I used to figure out the information that's most important for you. So the layout of the rest of the video will be, we'll switch over to the visual of the charts. I'll show you in detail for the early, middle, and late degree placements, what you can expect for this month, important themes, and best ways to use the energy. Then we'll transition back. You'll see me back here on this video to talk about the general transits, and I'll give you the dates to note and all kinds of other things you need to know for this month. So let's go into those visuals now. Hello Pisces friends, happy April. So I'm going to show you the charts that I'm looking at to do this month's reading for you, and we will talk about many things specific for this month, but also themes and trends that extend far beyond this period of time. Many of the messages and information I'm going to give you this month are going to be the same for you early, middle, and late degree placements, but I want to at least help you understand where you are in that designation for the times where I call out some differences. Okay, so early degree Pisces, you are our February born friends, pretty much, or 0 to 9 degrees. Middle degree around the 1st through the 10th of March, or 10 to 19 degrees. And the late degree placements around March 11th through the rest of the sign, and 20 to 29 degrees. And I do get a lot of questions about whether this is true, if this reading is for you, if it's Pisces is your rising sign or Pisces is your moon sign, and the answer to that is yes. We have different lenses that we look out of, kind of like windows out of a home. So when you look through the lens of your sun sign chart, that's one window out the door of your, or out the house, out of the house of your experience. And then if you look through the moon's perspective, it's another window. And if you look through the rising sign perspective, that's another window. And all of those windows, similar to windows in a house, the view out them is showing a true picture for that person living in the house. They're just different perspectives that are going on at the same time that are equally as true. Okay, so this is for you if Pisces is your rising, moon, or sun sign. Okay, so I'm going to use the middle degree chart, but I'll call out these other charts as we need to show if there are any differences. I'm calling the theme of this month and this time Claiming Your Destiny. And some of that has to do with the short-term energy that we see for all early, middle, and late in the first house, and also the movement of Uranus through the second house, and also the movement of Jupiter influencing the 10th house. Okay, so when we look at astrological factors, we could look at something super simple like the influence of the sun in the chart. And in fact, most horoscopes are really just speaking to where's the sun moving right now, highlighting for you. When we look at a more in-depth analysis, we take into consideration other planets doing other things and factor those all into everything at the same time. And when I look at the chart of the Pisces, that's the energy that I'm really seeing, which is it's time to go for that thing that you know is yours to claim. And in the instances where you're not certain of what that is, you're making strides to figuring it out. Okay, so in the month of April, early, middle, and late degree placements all have, for different reasons for some of you, but the story is still the same. First house is focused on, okay? So the first house has to do with your image, what you're putting out into the world. This is often, we call this a mask, like what we show people, kind of a coping mechanism of how we deal with life. But in general, it turns out to be very personal, because the way that people see us is often, like, people are looking at us this way, but then we wind up seeing ourselves this way too. So this story of what you're putting out there, how your relationship is with your physical body, how you're treating yourself, how other people are treating you, what you call yourself as far as what you're doing in the world, all of this is very, very in your face at this time. All right, so we bring in this story of Jupiter, and even though, as I've showed you before, Jupiter and these outer planets track a little bit differently. Let's just take a look really fast at. Okay, so you see early degree placements, you've had Jupiter pretty solidly in the 10th house for a while now. Then the middle degree placements, you've had more of a recent introduction to Jupiter in the 10th house. We'll talk about what that means in a second. But now you late degree placements are on the same circuit as the rest of the placements. Okay, so you've been having Jupiter accentuating the 9th house, you late degree placements, but now it's very strongly starting to influence your 10th house. Now, it will turn out that this month when Jupiter goes retrograde, it's going to back off of that focus and spend more time in the 9th house. But when it's in this position where it's, gosh, you can't really see now, I keep circling. But when it's in this position where it's right between the 9th and 10th, it's influencing both the 9th and 10th at the same time. Okay, so it's starting to bring in themes for you late degree people that may go into the backdrop here soon, but they're going to come back again. So it's relevant for you. And all of this has to do with the energy of Jupiter in the 10th, which is expansion in your world outside. Okay, your external world, your world out of the house, your work world, your career world. For those of you who are done working or who work, you don't need to work, this is what you're doing out in the world. This is the relationship with father and father figure, which often very, very much has to do with how we're presenting ourselves out in the world. So many Pisces may have to go back and do some foundational work with dad, whether he's in your life now or not, or whether he's on the planet or not. Getting back to the core of what's not resolved with how you relate to father and authority figures and male energies in your life can be very, very helpful to stepping into your true place and claiming your destiny. But in general, Jupiter in the 10th, so this is speaking to all of you now, even though we're looking at the late chart, Jupiter in the 10th wants to expand your work and your place out in the world. It's a beautiful aspect for business. It's a beautiful aspect for job prospects. It's wonderful for anything having to do with recognition for work you've already done. I also like to call this house the house of your destiny, because even though it's a work house, and sometimes our work that we use, that we make money with, is not necessarily our highest calling, the energies of this 10th house carry both, in my opinion, as I've tracked it. So when I see Jupiter go in the 10th house, there's this real call to getting on track with your destiny, what it is you're supposed to be doing. Now, I've seen destiny speak to people in many different ways, but there are two main ways that I observe. Okay, one has to do with that thing that whispers to you all the time. Maybe you're doing completely different things, but it's always saying, hey, come over here, do this, you're supposed to be doing this. It's a quiet voice, it's a quiet force, and at different times it gets really loud. And now maybe one of those times, but it's always kind of just in the backdrop saying, hey, why don't you do this? Okay, and then there's the type of destiny call where it's forced upon you against your will, and you just have to accept it. And I will tell you, this is kind of funny, that astrology is actually that for me. Astrology is part of my destiny, foretold by my astrology teacher many, many moons ago. She looked at my chart when I was in a totally different world, heading on a different path, and said, you're going to be an astrologer. And I was like, yeah, I'm actually not really interested in that. And so it was still my destiny. And so it chased me, it stalked me, it mercilessly took me down, and now I can't get away from it, even if I wanted to, which I don't now. But I see this happen for many of the people that I work with too, that there is something that is right in your face that has to do with destiny, and you've just kind of been there all along, and you're like, duh, it's there, so you just have to accept it. So this is a great time to look at the things in your life and see, is there something very obvious that you're supposed to be doing that you can look at a different way and just like have a breakthrough, like, okay, it's been there all along, I'm going to do it? Is there something whispering to you that you might need to cultivate more or explore more? Is there something you have to accept, or is there something that you have to actively cultivate that you need to bring to be more present? Okay, so the other piece of this that I mentioned has to do with Uranus. And this is, again, a situation where recently we've had Uranus influencing the second house for early. We've had Uranus influencing the second house for middle. But even though Uranus was dancing with the second house for you late degree people during 2018, it sort of has been not completely in there for many of you. But now we're moving towards everybody being on the same page. So again, Uranus being on a line like this, for you late degree people, you have this going on with Jupiter as well. Uranus is in two places at once. So it's bringing its lessons, it's bringing its stories to both the first and second house for you late degree people. And for the early and middle, it's still very solidly moving through the second house. So what does that tell us? Uranus is this unpredictable force that, I call it shock and awe energy. It's like things that sometimes it has to be disruptive. Uranus is disruptive energy. But it can also bring in like massive change that's desired. And sometimes it brings in massive change that we don't think is desired, but that if we reframe it, we can see the hand of spirit at work. So this has to do with finances, and it has to do with emotional security, financial material security, your viewpoints and your values. So there's a revolution going on as far as what your values are. So let's use the example. Let's say we've got a Pisces who we would call like a little hippie. All right? We got our little hippie here. And their values are live off the land, live in sync with nature, work as little as possible to create more room for life and the flow. Now, Uranus can come in for this person and say, guess what? Your destiny is in creating this something, whatever it happens to be. And it doesn't mean you have to abandon these principles or values, but it may mean that you have to add some work ethic and discipline to work hard in order to achieve a destiny or to shift something very radical as far as your financial experience. We could have it the other way around, okay? So here's our business person. I am not going to try to draw a person in a suit, but let's just pretend we've got our little suited person, our business person, okay? I'll give him some pants, or her. And this person's values are very focused on the material realm. Well, Uranus can come in and say, hey, maybe you should live in an RV for a year with your family. So we're going to take your job away or your money away or make you make a choice where you're actually going to voluntarily do this. And so see, it's like it's disruptive. It's like crazy change. And sometimes it comes from the inside out where you're like, oh, I have to do this. It sounds crazy, but I have to do it. And sometimes it comes from the outside where circumstances contrive to put you in a situation where you have to really reevaluate your values and do something different with your money systems. All right? So that's all happening, but I see that very much as being linked to the destiny point. You know, this 10th house, what you're supposed to be doing out in the world, how you're doing it, linked to money, and linked to the image, what you're bringing. and what you want to be bringing and what you see yourself as. So, in general this month, besides all that, I just kind of put a lot on you there, but that's what's on my mind for y'all. In general, we've got a lot of Pisces planets that are continuing to make conjunctions and cross over your Pisces placements. So, with Mercury and Venus, lots of kisses there and inspiration. We've got the planets starting to move into Aries, and these I see for you as a catalyst. Whenever fire comes into a situation with water, that's a pot. Okay, here's the flame. The water in the pot is the Pisces energy that you have latent and active in here. And then the fire comes with the Aries, and it's bringing it up to a boil. Instigating change, instigating the change of form of the water. So that's what's going on. And so this month is full of all of that for Pisces. So there are some very important things that I haven't addressed as far as the general transits that are going to play into this picture for you as far as making decisions and understanding how to best use the aspects that are going to be present this month. So I'm going to go into all of the general transits now, so definitely stay tuned with me for that to pick up these important pieces for the month for you. So the theme for April 2019 for the general transits is the urge for action, but ... And I will explain in detail as to why I'm calling it that. So the astrological new year begins at the end of March each year, and at that time, the sun moves into Aries, which is the astrological new year. Shortly after, or sometimes coinciding with, in this case, shortly after the sun moves into Aries, other personal planets, meaning the ones that are closest to us, start moving into Aries. So the sun will start out the month in Aries. Midway into the month, we'll have Mercury, then Venus is going to follow shortly after in Aries. So all of this action energy will make you want to do something. So adding to the drive for action, Mars is going to be in Gemini. Mars is how we use our energy, and Gemini is all over the place. And it's always really busy. It's thinking, it's talking, it's doing, and it's restless. So we've got Aries energy, which is among the most restless in the zodiac. We've got Gemini energy, which is among the most restless in the zodiac, combining together, and people are going to want to talk and move around and go places and do things. Plus, we will have just gotten out of a watery, Mercury retrograde covered month of March, and people are going to be ready for some action. So this energy all combined can be great for getting things done, but there is a hurriedness about it. And a recklessness, and sometimes not paying attention. So it increases the chances for accidents or doing something, slip-ups in ways that aren't positive. So you definitely want to be more careful, pay more attention, add some breath, add some consciousness to all of this oomph energy, because you really need to take more caution. This month carries some awkwardness in the way that, although we have all this fire energy and then the important air energy in the Gemini, there will be all of this like pent-up energy to do things. But because there's still energy in Pisces that's transitioning over, this water energy, specifically in Pisces, can bring more of an abstractness, like an uncertainty, an inner focus, and just really not feeling sure. So when you have the combination of like you need to do something, but you don't know exactly what to do, then that can cause a lot of wasted energy, just putting a whole bunch of energy into something and then a couple of weeks later realizing, as the Mercury retrograde post-shadow transit energies shift mid-month, that actually the direction is completely different. So you're going to be chomping at the bit at the beginning of April and say, oh, Mercury is direct, time to do stuff. But I really want you to hear that in that first couple of weeks, try to find your certainty before you take action and commit. Mid-month is much better for committing, it's much better for certainty, it's much better for clarity. So the more that you can be sure about what you're doing instead of doing for the sake of itself, the better. And the more you can tune into the inspired action rather than action just for the sake of itself. So like tuning into what spirit wants you to do rather than you just being so whacked out that you have to do something. So, going to the gym, exercising, doing things that can get this energy out. But of course, be careful when you're doing those things as well, that it's not too aggressive and you don't hurt yourself. So definitely watch the signs and the synchronicities closely, because those will be the things that can help match you with the best path. The other thing that's going on this month is that Jupiter is moving into retrograde, and it's going to be there for months, okay? And when this happens, the expansion frenzy that was occurring before then starts to stop, basically. And sensitive people may have felt this even earlier, because there is a pre-retrograde transit shadow transit before Jupiter goes retrograde as well. So if you're finding that even in the open window of February, the end of January and February, if you were starting to slow down, your ambitions were starting to slow down, that could have been Jupiter getting ready to go into retrograde. And so during this time, having kind of a break from the long unbridled expansion spree can be of benefit, because you can take stock and evaluate. So pulling in carefully to evaluate the next steps is a really good move. It doesn't mean you can't do anything or shouldn't do anything. It just means if you naturally are losing your ambitions, then don't be concerned when Jupiter, it will come back, basically. Definitely economy of energy utilization is called for now. That's one of the things that Jupiter, especially in Sag, really wants when it goes into retrograde, is how you are spreading yourself thin and how you can condense your efforts so that you can be much more productive. So basically, fewer brilliantly placed actions that are supported by inner certainty are much better this month than just crazy haphazard action for the sake of itself. I really love this time for spring or down under fall cleaning, and I definitely love Marie Kondo's message to release anything that doesn't spark joy. This way you have surroundings and everything in your life with things only that spark joy. She's got 2 amazing books that I highly recommend, and this is an amazing time for taking action on things like that. Definitely vision boards are well supported at this time. So the new year, the astrological new year started at the end of March 20th, when the sun moved into Aries. But the New Year's kickoff party is when the new moon in Aries happens, which is on April 5th. So that's one of the best days of the whole year for a vision board, and the days around there and this time, it's really great for putting things together to help you figure out what you want to create this year. It's a really wonderful time for planting seeds. Something interesting about this month is that most of the days that have sweet aspects are completely coupled with days that have challenging aspects. So there's not as much of an easy time to say this time is good, this time is challenging. We've got a few days right in the beginning of the month where there's a series of sweet aspects, but then pretty much for the rest of the month there's just like dicey, sweet, dicey, sweet, dicey, sweet. So just really tune in to how your personal flow is with these transits. That full moon on April 19th is definitely going to be very intense. It's a full moon at 29 degrees of Libra, so like culmination of relationship things. So definitely look out for surprises then. There are some sweet aspects that go along with that full moon, and there's also some dicey ones that go along with that full moon, but definitely very intense. So if you want a detailed list of the dates of each of the aspects and what goes along with those, you can sign up for my free email newsletter at anniehelpsyou.com. When you sign up for my free email newsletter, you also get access to my 28-day virtual coaching program, which is free when you sign up. So you can just go deep in with that, and then plus you'll get this written report in your inbox delivered a month early, so that you can have a visual understanding of what's coming. AnnieHelpsYou.com, you can book a live reading with me. You can check out my astrology apprenticeship program if you resonate with how I do astrology and you'd love to learn with me. I also have some other wonderful vocational support courses that you can take, as well as subliminals to help train your mind to create the life you want. I've got all kinds of other goodies on my site. If you'd like written reports, astrology reports, horoscopes from me, you can go to cozybysweetstarlight.com for monthly written horoscopes that often have different information than is in my videos. And there are other blogs there as well too, natural lifestyle blogs. So definitely check those things out, and you can check out my husband's website, iamhelios.com, iamhelios.com. He always has very interesting goodies there, and he does tarot and astrology as well. So I would love for you to check out my new book, Radical Prayer, Transform Your Life and the World in 28 Days. This is an Amazon bestseller, and it is wonderful for anyone who really wants to shift their experience in life in a very simple but powerful way with this beautiful little book. So I hope you have a wonderful month, and I'll see you next month. Bye.